Welcome back, everyone, to this third and final episode of restoring the Boston and Maine Alcos. I finally got the clear coat done, and I also wanted to leave you with the techniques I used and the products I used to make this project happen. So grab a seat. Hope you find something useful, and I hope you will enjoy. Well, here's a completed project, and you can see it's made quite a transformation on this locomotive. It's amazing what a little fresh black paint will do. I mean, this blue was the original color of the plastic shell, so all I did was clean that. And, the clear coat just finishes it off like it should be. And this is the finish that I'm after, to give you guys an idea. And I thought I'd share with you also the techniques and the supplies I used to paint this locomotive. And, part of the delay on getting this done was trying to decide if I want to do these white stripes. And as you can see, I decided to put them on there, and even though I'd like it a lot better without the white stripes on there. But, the more I got to thinking about it, since I was restoring these, I felt it was only right to restore them back to their original condition. And so now I've got a really nice set of locomotives. And, it really didn't take that much time or material to do it. And one of the several advantages here to doing the clear coat, one, if you notice this logo on the front here, this would have been really difficult for me to do anyway with some type of enamel paint. It would, be a nightmare. So this is where the acrylics were really, made this job so much easier. I mean, it was something that was really difficult that was done in seconds. So all I had to do is just put a little bit of white acrylic on here and then wipe it off. And yeah, my finger becomes a painting tool sometimes when I'm doing acrylics. And, if you got any hazing left over, it's pretty simple just to clean that up real easy with a damp Q-tip. And, and I use the acrylics to paint the rest of it in there. And then you've seen that, I painted the blue in here around these numbers with the black acrylic. And this paint here, I freehanded that on there. I had bought a paint marker that I get from Hobby Lobby. And that was another reason I was wanting to do the white, I guess, is because I'd already bought that anticipating doing it anyway, and I wanted the challenge to see how that would come out. And, it worked pretty good. I did mask it, but it's pretty simple to do with the paint marker. It's almost a little bit like using a felt tip marker. And couple of advantages to doing the clear coat after this process is done, of course. One is sealing all this acrylics in. So now, these would have been real susceptible to wearing. It doesn't take hardly any moisture at all to, loosen this acrylic, and it would come right back off. So now that I sealed it, it's made the whole locomotive impervious to any type of rubbing or wear marks or, finger staining with say your oils and stuff. So you're not really, putting that into the body anymore because you've got the protective coating of the clear on there. And the other thing is, with all these different mixtures of paint, now I've got one uniform finish on this locomotive because it's over the whole painting project. And so that gives everything the equal amount of sheen, so it looks like it's all blended in, so it looks like, one and the same painting process. And I think the flat for those of you that are maybe a novice, that are looking to, do your first paint project or your first several, the blacks, I think, just make it the flat blacks, I think, make it, any of the flats, I think, would make this much easier to do. I think it's just easier to apply the flat black anyway. It's a little bit more intuitive and less of a challenge to apply it without being concerned about doing too much issues with runs, sags, or drips. I'm not saying that can't be done, but it's less likely that you're going to do it. You just kind of have to learn not to be too heavy-handed. So that's a big advantage to doing the flat. I think it's just something that's going to be easier to have a more successful paint job, just doing the flat. And then the other thing I like about the flat is it dries really fast. So that's great for me because I like to keep moving with the project. And, this locomotive, after you apply the paint, depending on your climate conditions, 15, 20 minutes, this thing's dry and it's, you can handle it. So that's really a bonus, and it keeps you moving. The key to painting something like this is, to think several light coats rather than one heavy coat. You don't really want to try to paint this whole thing in one coat, and just give it a few minutes between coats and then apply another coat, and you can build it up gradually like that. That also goes a long ways toward, not filling in too much of your detail too. You don't really want to fill in your fine detail by getting it too heavy either. And then the other advantage to the matte clear, just like the flat paint, it dries extremely fast. 15, 20 minutes, that's dry, you're able to touch it. So it's just a win-win, and I think it's really conducive to getting ideal results. And, it's not the only way to do it, but it's the way I found to be a pretty successful approach. And, I'm sure there's a lot of car guys out there going, well, why wouldn't you just use Tamiya or Testors or Vallejo or something? Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked, because, I don't want this looking like a show car. That's one of the issues, because I deal with model trains. So, unfortunately, they don't have any paint with model train finishes on them. So, we're kind of stuck if we want to try to get the finish we're wanting. And that's the finish I'm after here. You can see this is very similar to what it would look like coming from the factory originally, and that's what I'm trying to replicate here. And to me, this does a lot better job of actually applying the satin. Your flats, it's too flat. You take a step up to satins, well, it's just too much gloss for me. It might as well be gloss. And, this right here is what I call just right the Goldilocks zone. So this is what I'm after. I don't really want flat, and I don't really want excessive gloss on here. So I just wanted to show you the finished results here real quick, and then kind of convey to you some of the products I use to do this also, which is, this lineup here. I just use the Rust-Oleum 2x Ultra flat black. This says it'll paint wood, metal, plastics, and more. Well, I painted the plastics and more because I did put it over acrylic, and I've never had any trouble clear coating with this matte over acrylics and having any adverse effects. And the matte clear, of course, is another Rust-Oleum product, and it does not give you what I would consider a true matte finish, but for me, it gives me the perfect finish I'm looking for, which is just the right amount of sheen. And then I use the paint marker here. This is kind of a handy little tool. These things are like $1.99, and I use these for several things around my layout. I even use these to touch up my track, the brown. They don't really make a rust version, but they're handy to touch up, do some final touch up on your track after you paint it. And, they make this in a wide range of colors. I do use the black or the brown and now this white. And the other color I used here was this is the Anita's uh, black acrylic paint. And you can see it's another Rust-Oleum product. Now, I used to be able to get this at Hobby Lobbies, and I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if Rust-Oleum isn't making this anymore, but I noticed that Hobby Lobby no longer carries the Anita brand, so I don't know if it's still available or not. I bought several bottles of this several years ago, and then I just use this. These are paints I already had on hand. I have a kind of a selection of these craft paints anyway, and this was just whitewash. So those are the products I use. The real investment in this, other than the locomotive itself, was, a $7 can of spray paint and a $2 paint marker. So this really isn't that hard to do. And I think, keeping with the flats and, this matte clear enamel is kind of the way to go for me anyway. And this works really good. I first stumbled onto this when I was trying to paint, the die-cast boiler shells of the post-war engines that I repainted. And I thought this did a really good job of recreating that little bit of sheen that you see on those, without getting too much gloss in there. And, I hope this is something you guys find useful, and you can use it maybe on your next project and try it out and see if you like it. I hope this has been helpful. And until next time, you've been watching Dale's Rails. Thanks for watching.